The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. This book consists of life and soul work known as guideposts. The guideposts are about cultivating and letting go. Letting go of things that hurt us and cultivating things that are, these things are what more wholehearted lives internally and primarily consist of. So much consistency. Everything is consisting of different consistencies. I've reviewed other Brown books. I have. I've reviewed Braving the Wilderness, loved it. I've reviewed Power of Vulnerability, loved it ×2, still my favorite. I've reviewed Dare to Lead, amazing book. I've reviewed Daring Greatly, which was more different from Dare to Lead than I thought it was going to be. And I've reviewed Rising Strong, which, I don't know, it didn't hit me as hard as those other ones. I've explained my thoughts on Brown in the other reviews, but I've gotten so much out of her books. A lot of the greatest things that I've experienced in my life came from opening up and actually allowing myself to feel pain and love and even anger. To this day I have trouble with. For years it's like I was trapped in this box and I didn't even realize it. But I've learned that dancing with your emotions and rumbling with the ones that you're not really comfortable expressing around others, because you don't want to seem like you're weak or like you don't have control of yourself, that's what's really going to help you live with them. You know what I mean? Because we're human and we're just never ever going to be perfect, we get to use courage, compassion, and connection, the 3 C's. Gentlemen and ladies, the 3 C's. On a daily basis. We get to do it. And in that sense, they become gifts. In the first section, she describes what there is to learn from compassion, courage, and connection, and how they're the tools for developing self-worthiness. Then she moves to the heart of the matter, which is love, belonging, and worthiness. In this book, she answers some of the most difficult questions that she's had in her career. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Sugar! You, me, you, me. Office reference. Can we love someone and betray them? Why does our need to fit in sabotage real belonging? Can we love the people like children and partners in our lives more than ourselves? How do we define worthiness and why do we hustle for it without believing in it? Each guidepost is illustrated with different stories and ideas for making deliberate and inspired choices for the way we live and love. How is this book different from her others, and what can we learn from it? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Samuel, and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. She starts with stories of like a shame cyclone that she experienced speaking at a school in front of hundreds of parents and I think teachers, and how she handled it afterward by talking to her, what was it, her younger brother or her 2 older sisters, or one of them or 2 of them or all 3 of them? She said that the principal introduced her as if it was a WWE match, and the only thing missing was the strobe lights, which again, was hilarious. It's the storytelling. Another story about Brene Brown's daughter, Ellen, asking to be picked up during a sleepover because Ellen was homesick. These things are like, they make sense. Like, we are not perfect, but that gives us the option to reach out and ask for help when we are in need. And that requires courage, does it not? It requires more courage when you are homesick during a sleepover to ask your parent to pick you up because you're homesick than it does to disregard your homesickness and stay there anyway. Especially today. Like, where everyone's kind of like, is that how people are? Exploring the power of life, belonging, and being enough. At the heart of wholeheartedness, because I didn't know that wholeheartedness had a heart. Wholeheartedness must be pretty wholehearted with its heart. It's being worthy now. Like, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. Not when I'm out of debt, not when I lost 30 pounds, not when I finally fall in love, when I finally get out of school, when I get a promotion. This is the chapter when I realized this book is not about anything that she talks about in her work in particular. It's about everything, but it's all wrapped up. Like a gift. A gift of imperfection. And in the beginning of the book, it centers around these things, but you do learn about the challenges she has faced in being a shame researcher, speaking to thousands and thousands of people out there. There are so many executives and managers at the events who are like, shame? Can you talk about something more positive, like happiness or something? What is wrong with me this morning? The next chapter is called Things That Get in the Way. Again though, if you saw my review of her book Rising Strong, you may notice that, I find a lot of her other books, they're full of stories about like her. Now, is that a bad thing though? My personal answer is no. It's not. It's up to you whether you like her stories or not, but that depends on, does it matter if books about imperfection and shame and vulnerability written by someone who has researched them for years and probably decades and similar topics are filled to the brim primarily with personal stories and how they're relevant to the teachings that in alignment with the researcher's learnings. Wow, this is a long sentence. Are those books worth the money? How much does that hard data, how much does that matter? Brown's work is compiled with stories, and I'm always surprised by how relevant her stories are, which is what surprises me like every time I check out her books. Because there are a lot of times that like authors, like they spend so much time in books talking about like their own personal stories, and it's just not as relevant as you would hope. But you're gonna find that a lot of the guideposts here, they focus on things that we say to ourselves deep down, which I don't think that she mentioned in the book. For me, it was more of an observation. Guidepost 1 out of 10 is cultivating authenticity and letting go of what people think. So many of these things depend on the story that you tell yourself. I'm ashamed of how I look right now. I need to be different than I am right now to be worthy of love and belonging. This may sound kind of crazy, but I can't help thinking that it's like how we talk to ourselves deep down. Guidepost 2 is cultivating self-compassion and letting go of perfectionism. There's a difference between perfectionism and healthy living. Perfection is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. Healthy striving is self-focused. It's about how can I improve, not how can I please others. Again, this is just like very deep down stuff, like self-talk that we're talking about to each other, I guess. Guidepost 3 is cultivating a resilient spirit and letting go of powerlessness and numbing. Here's that one part that stood out about like practical critical awareness. From the time we wake up in the morning to the time our head hits the pillow at night, we are bombarded with messages and expectations about every aspect of our lives, from magazine advertisements and commercials to movies and music. We're told exactly what we should look like, how much we should weigh, how much we should have sex, how we should parent, how we decorate our houses, and what kind of car we drive. It's absolutely overwhelming in my opinion, and no one is immune. Trying to avoid media messages is like holding your breath to avoid air pollution. It's just not gonna happen. This may sound like an exaggeration, but I can't help but think a lot of these like messages and whatnot, they're so subconscious and they very subconsciously affect what we tell ourselves. And it's hard to touch upon those subconscious ideas and thoughts unless you research these things or you check out books like this one, I imagine. Guidepost 4 is cultivating gratitude and joy and letting go of scarcity and the fear of the dark. If you know my channel, you probably know how I feel about gratitude chapters. If you don't, well, I love gratitude chapters. They're the best. I'm very grateful for them. And if you don't know my channel, you should definitely hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe so you can see all the different videos I'm putting out. I really appreciate that because goes into making these videos. This one guidepost in particular, I didn't really learn it. It simply makes sense, but gratitude is not something you just get.
I have so much gratitude.
No, it's something you practice. You can't have gratitude without practicing. Guidepost 5 is cultivating intuition and faith, letting go of the need for certainty. The further I got into this book, the more I began to realize what she meant by guideposts. Like, she offers different definitions of these words, like intuition and faith, and she talks about what they can do for us. And by the way, like, this point, it's like so far away from topics like shame and vulnerability that people are so used to hearing about from her. It's just about as far away from those things as it gets. Anyone who thinks that she's like a broken record spinning parrot, please look no further than a book like this one. Oh, and by the way, anyone who's watched this far, the further I got into the book, the less personal stories I heard. And the personal stories I heard, the shorter they got, which is a little odd, I suppose. Guidepost 6 is cultivating creativity and letting go of comparison. With what you're cultivating and letting go, I do wonder from time to time with chapters like this one, what those have to do with each other. Like, what exactly does creativity have to do with like comparing yourself to people? In Guidepost 7, cultivating play and rest, letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. Something else you get occasionally with Brown's books is like this, oh my gosh, this is crazy, do not do this humor. Researching the concept of play got off to a very rocky start. I learned do not Google adult play. I was closing pornography pop-ups so fast it was like playing whack-a-mole. This chapter does touch upon how play and rest are so much more beneficial for productivity and sustainability than most of us may think. Guidepost 8 is cultivating calm and stillness and letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle. Anxiety really is a lifestyle, isn't it? Let's face it, calmness is not a default response for most of us in like stressful situations. And training yourself to just take a second and breathe, it's not easy to do, but it's definitely possible. This chapter and the previous one are the type of chapters specifically written for people whose senses of self-worth are just tied like almost uncomfortably with how much they get done and what results they get. Just saying that makes me wonder if I fit that description though. I don't know. Maybe. Guidepost 9 is cultivating meaningful work and letting go of self-doubt and supposed to. Using our gifts to create meaningful work takes a tremendous amount of commitment, because in many cases, meaningful work does not pay the bills, at least immediately. Case in point, this channel right now. But not for long, hopefully. I'm about 54 hours of watch time away from becoming a YouTube partner, so I can get paid per view on my channel. I wanted to get that done by December of last year, but I also wanted 1,000 subscribers and I'm now at 1,520. The only thing that could jeopardize this with the hours of watch time is, quite frankly, the spike in viewership that I had last year at around this time when COVID hit. But you know, I've really been working on this and I've really been just putting out as many videos as I can. What's tricky is that the most relevant books right now, they're not nonfiction and no one's really putting them out for some reason. I don't know if it's the thing that has to do with the time of year. Normally I'll put out as many relevant book reviews as possible, but the thing is there are just not that many relevant books out right now. And all the relevant ones, or the most relevant ones I could find, I have reviewed them already, like Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, and Think Again by Adam Grant, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster by Bill Gates, A Promised Land by Obama is still a huge hit right now. This is like the longest sidetrack I've had in a video for a really long time, so I'm just gonna get back to guidepost number 9. I feel like that's like a different video topic almost. So in a lot of cases, meaningful work does not immediately pay all your bills. Thing is, no one else defines what meaningful is for you. That's a decision that you make. But before you do this, you may face a struggle of defining who you are and what you do in an honest way. I mean, what do you do is something that we're so used to asking each other regarding like work that we don't even realize we're doing it. The last guidepost number 10, cultivating laughter, song and dance, and letting go of feeling cool and always in control. For so many people, I haven't heard this in any self-help book ever, dancing is like full body vulnerability. What's body vulnerability? It's strange concepts, these things. There is no such form of bodily movement that we find just uncomfortable to participate in. I felt this all over when I heard it. Oh my gosh. I never went to school dances. I did not go to prom. I refused. I never went to formal, semi-formal, spring dance, me. I never actually danced at camp dances when attendance was not an option. It's weird how we're scared of being seen as like being out of control or like we're having too much fun. The act of dancing was always like, it was always strange to me, but I also never liked doing it because I never really wanted to be seen as like strange or really just like out of control, like Brene Brown said. But I didn't realize that. Like I said like 3 times in the review maybe, so many of these behaviors, we don't even realize. It's almost subconscious the way we act on them without realizing it. Brene Brown said that this book is thought of as a way to join a wholehearted revolution that starts with saying, my story matters because I matter. A call that comes from admitting when things are not okay, that things are not okay. Maybe not revolution, but living wholeheartedly, that's gonna piss off and confuse a lot of people, including yourself. But it just makes you feel alive, you know? Gifts of Imperfection, though, is really different from all her other books because it centers around so many different topics, but those topics are wrapped up around the idea of imperfection and how it's a gift. And she really did a splendid job organizing that. Very cohesive, probably her most cohesive book yet. I do have some more to check out in her bibliography. Nonetheless, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, another unofficial episode of our Brene Brown bibliography binge with breaks of books. Quotes. Intuition is really a sudden immersion of the soul into the universal current of life where the histories of all people are connected and we are able to know everything because it's all written there. There's no such thing as creative people and non-creative people. There are only people who use their creativity and people who don't. God lives within us, not above us. Direction 1. I recommend this book simply for anyone who wants to live a more wholehearted life. Direction 2. If you like this book, you might still like other books by Brene Brown around like braving the wilderness and daring greatly. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If you guys buy anything through the links in the description, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it, but hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far in my videos and they don't subscribe, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.